Hey everyone, thanks for following the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today's episode is going to be great. You're going to hear from a person who has been in the wholesaling game for a long time and has focused on his most effective form of marketing. My name is Ryan Haywood. Back in 2019, I started a 30-day wholesaling challenge. I went on and got my first deal in 14 days. Since then, I've gone on to do over 400 transactions.
And my name is David Letko. 8 years ago, I created a tool that's helped people now close 10,000 of their very first wholesale deals with the software platform called DealMachine. So, Michael, I'm curious, how much did you make on your first wholesale deal that was just land, not even a house on it?
Yeah, the first one, and I just put my toe in the water, and I got it for $100 and turned around and sold it for $1,000 3 hours later.
That's pretty good ratio, 10 to 1.
So it was just kind of testing the concept.
Okay. Got it.
How did you get him for $100 though? That's insane.
Well, I probably didn't know I knew the numbers, but I wanted to be conservative. The property was landlocked and it was an absentee owner.
Okay. Landlocked, all the land I'm talking and seeing is landlocked. What do you mean?
Well, you could not access the property without going through another person's property.
Oh, okay.
Another person's property.
Got it. That makes more sense. So what did you think the buyer of that property was going to do with it if they couldn't get to it?
It turned out they were an elderly couple and they'd bought other landlocked properties before. And I put it out on Craigslist and met them at the local bank 3 hours later. And we transferred the property right there and they still own it.
Okay. Just wanted to buy it, see if it goes up in value, I guess.
I think it's a long-term investment. Subsequently, I sold them other properties.
All right. Well, how did you find the owner of the land in the first place if it was landlocked? Did you have to trespass to get to it?
I did.
Oh,
you know, the property in front had road access. This one did not. So, you know, you walked about 30 yards through it to kind of, you know, inspect the property and what have you.
Well, I mean, how did you find the seller in the first place?
Okay. Yeah, I just pulled a list of absentee owners that had owned property, vacant land for an extended period of time that lived out of the area.
Got it. You sent them a postcard?
Yeah, the first batch was 500 postcards and bought 2 properties.
Wow, okay. So, see, one thing I noticed is you sent like 500 right away. That's great. Some people want to do 1 or 2 and then they don't get any response. They get discouraged.
Well, I think with the background of doing houses as well and the appraisal business, I became very comfortable and knowledgeable about the data.
Okay. Why did you switch over from appraising and flipping homes to just doing land?
When we were doing houses, you know, and I'm not handy, but we had a group of employees, and so we're managing them. The numbers were a lot higher. The process took a lot longer. And obviously, it was more capital intensive. And with the land, the sellers are extremely motivated. We don't do anything to it. I don't see many of the properties that we go ahead and wholesale or flip. And the process is just much easier and less competitive.
Got it. Were you frustrated at some point that really drove you to try something new?
Well, after 2008 and being in real estate for a long time, I just needed a break. And you know, I got the bug back and I just started thinking, no employees, you know, just a much easier process.
Got it. So, dang, in 2008, what happened? I know the market had crashed, but did you own a lot of projects, like in a lot of renovation projects?
No, not then we didn't. You know, we would turn them around very quick, but the market had just changed quite a bit. And, I'd been in it for almost 30 years at that point, and frankly, I just needed a break from real estate.
Got it. Okay. I understand that. So what did you do on your next deal? You know, you said you got one for $100 and you sold it for $1,000. So how'd the second one go?
Yeah, the next one we got for $3,000, and it was in an area that wasn't extremely populated. So I mailed out some neighbor letters, and the guy that lived behind it bought it for $6,000. So we just, you know, doubled the money from 3 to 6.
And you knew those sold because you could just look it up.
Pardon me?
You knew what the prices of similar pieces of land sold for because you could just look it up?
Yeah. Well, my background's appraisal, so I'm pretty good at nailing the property values and familiar with most of the tools that are available. And a benefit to that is I know the values better than the sellers, and I know the values most of the time better than the buyers, and I'm better at the information. And so just being better at the information is really the advantage.
Okay, got it. So do appraisers come into play at all in the transactions you do now? I guess not, because they're just cash deals and there's no there's no need.
Well, one thing that I find is with land, there typically aren't any mortgages involved. I have not bought or wholesaled a parcel where there's a mortgage at all. So we're not dealing with mortgages or banks or any of that. It's just such a clean process. And many times, since they own it free and clear, they're willing to sell or finance.
Mm. And do you still make a wholesale fee if they sell or finance it?
I haven't done much seller financing, but I continue taking courses as I go forward. You know, I'm taking one with Eddie Speed right now that's great with creative financing and notes. But what it can allow you to do, if you put the seller financing in place, you can go after much more expensive properties because you're not burning that cash.
Got it. Because if you're wholesaling the land, you're not really putting your cash into the deal in the first place, though, right?
Yeah, you could get it under contract with seller financing, say with $5,000 down and $100 a month payments, and you could wholesale that contract to someone else for $15,000 down and $200 a month payments. So what you're really getting is that spread of $5,000 or $10,000 up front plus recurring monthly payment.
Okay, got it. So this is something you're learning about, but you haven't done a lot of.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of that.
Got it. So the deals that you do, you're not buying yourself, right? You're just getting it under contract and then selling it to someone else.
A combination. Many of them are wholesale, but I work with many of the local builders. I work with Habitat for Humanity, and many times it's just one call. And I'll call David at Habitat and say, David, I've got this parcel. Are you interested? And he says, yeah, I'll give you $28,000. And I said, well, how about 29? He goes, okay, done deal. So many times it's just one call.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of times you said you've got buyers ready to buy them before you even finish getting them under contract, right?
Yeah, typically, I think many people are focused on getting the deal, but I put a lot of energy and focus on who's my end buyer, who the end buyer is. So we've done a good job at building a substantial list of buyers. I just do a very small market. I have 3,000 properties that I target, but I have 600 people that are looking to purchase property from me.
DealMachine listeners, I'm wearing my turtleneck not because it's Steve Jobs' birthday, not because Apple just announced they're integrating AI into their phones. Nope, none of that. It's because we're coming up on DealMachine Unveiled, which is our special live presentation where we're unveiling the latest innovation in real estate technology. Last November, we had an Unveiled event, and we broke down the house with unlimited skip tracing, which also improved with our private investigator tool the accuracy of your skip tracing results by 50%. Meaning if you don't get data, you can actually see every person with that homeowner's name all in one spot, in one place. There's no other place you can get that. So come July 1st, reserve your spot, get notified, be among the first to see what's coming next for the real estate industry. The URL, by the way, is DealMachine.com/unveiled.
So here's a question I've got. How do you find people that buy land? I'm intrigued by land first and foremost, but I'm intimidated.
Yeah, I use 4 techniques. I go to the National Association of Home Builders and see if there's a local chapter. There's 91 builders that are building in my market area. I use some other tools, and I'll, PropStream or Data Tree, other tools. And what I'll do, I'll put in the zip code where I have a parcel. And what I'll do is say, show me everyone that's bought similar land in that zip code within the last 2 years. And say it's 90 people. And that out of that 90, I say, show me out of those 90, which people own 5 or more properties. So now it narrows it down to 40. So I have a list of investors that are buying similar properties in my zip code. And I already know what they're paying for it because I can look up their previous transactions. Neighbor letters. Sometimes if I do buy it, I'll list it with the realtor, but we'll put it on Facebook Marketplace. And I just put one on there and we got 1,052 hits of people that were interested.
Do you have any buyers that are not local to that area? Like any nationwide buyers?
not necessarily nationwide, but we do have some people. Pensacola is kind of a destination for some people for vacation and what have you. So some remote. But one thing I like about doing the same market area, I have repeat buyers. I've done 11 transactions with Habitat and many other builders. We have many repeat transactions. So many times it's just a phone call where I know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
We did a project with Habitat for Humanity in Indianapolis, and I was surprised when they said, we actually buy a lot from wholesalers. They didn't used to, but now they do. So I was curious, do they typically, how do they compare to your other buyers in terms with things you'd want to know as a wholesaler, right? Like, is it an easy transaction? Are they typically paying as much as other buyers? That type of thing.
Yeah. Habitat, I started the relationship just with a cold call, and I told him I get property substantially below market, and I'd like to pass on the savings to my end buyer. And now David that works there is my buddy, and we socialize and what have you. But the price is a little bit lower. But I'm not always interested in squeezing every dollar out of every deal. Sometimes I'll just call David up and I say, I've got this lot. We've got one right now. And he would pay 14 for it, and the margin was too small for me, so we're just marketing it, a different way.
Okay, got it. But it sounds like he's pretty easy to work with if you're hanging out.
Yeah, it's very, we go to lunch about every 2 months or so, and it's a very easy process, and really it's just a phone call. So I'll call him up and say, I've got this, or I'm getting this under contract, and he'll go ahead and do the due diligence, and he'll just give me an offer.
Got it. So I noticed you said you send postcards. Is there anything else you've ever tried, like cold calling?
Yeah, a combination. We've done SMS, and that's worked very well. We've slowed it down a little bit for right now. We do some cold calling. Direct mail has been very successful for us. And the best campaign that I've done, I sent out 3,000 letters so they would arrive in Florida the same day they got their tax bill. So now they get the tax bill, or they can get a solicitation to sell their lot. And out of the 3,000, we bought 11 properties, one out of every 272 pieces of mail.
Yeah, that's actually really good. So it must have something to do with your timing of the tax bill.
Part of it's the timing, but part of it is I really focus on building a list that a lot of people aren't mailing to. And I call it our 13 niche list. And some people, mail to some of the same niches, but many times they don't. But as a result, we save money on marketing costs, and we get a pretty good response rate.
Got it. Well, where do you think that you'll end up going from here? I know you said you do not want any type of employees or anything like that. So do you feel like you're maxed out, or is this like part-time, or how does, what I mean? How's the capacity?
Yeah, I do it full time. It's my wife and I. I've got 2 VAs in the Philippines. We could scale it if we wanted to. I had 65 employees before. I have no interest in that. And then, if we can do 3 deals a month, plus or minus right in there, the average deal, buy it for 10, sell it for 20, buy it for 6, sell it for 30, kind of a range. And it's very comfortable. And with family, I think time is probably the most valuable asset, and being able to visit family in various other states.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you're able to take some time and do that. So, okay, all right. Have you tried any of the new skip tracing data in DealMachine, by the way?
I haven't, and I have a small group of about 100. I call them teammates, not students, that I just share techniques of what I do. And I was networking with many of them yesterday, and they were just raving about your product. And I would like to be able to share that with the whole group that we have. And just, I was watching Seth Williams' review, and just raving about it. And you're just reeling me in. I want more.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that. And a huge reason why we've grown like 40% this year so far is we came out with that unlimited contact info. So everybody is saving a lot of money and actually closing the gap on data that wasn't coming back accurate before. Because if we don't have a 100% match, we'll show you everybody's name who's got that owner name in the country, right? So you can just look through the whole list, see their addresses and phone numbers. So you could see everybody. I mean, there's not a place where you wouldn't find the owner using that strategy. You know what I'm saying? So it's really powerful.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. You can't use all the tools that are available. I've tried many of them. I do have a few teammates that do 600 deals a year, much more than I do. And I think many of the solutions that you have would be very appealing to us.
Cool. What's that group? You said they're not teammates and it's not mentors, but you just found 100 people doing wholesaling.
So I have a small course, okay. And it's got about 130 lessons in there, and it's just like they're sitting next to me, and I show them exactly what I do. From here's the tools I use. How do you pick a market area? How do you build a list? How do you contact the people? How do you do your due diligence? How do you make your offers? And then when you get the property, how do you move it as quick as possible? So I share that with them, and would love to have you guys on.
Okay. Would love to be on. What's the course called for anyone who's wanting to know more?
Yeah, I have a public Facebook group, Land Flipping #4 Real Estate Professionals. I think we have about 3,800 people in the group. And the course is actually Land Flipping for real estate professionals. And so we've had it for about 2 years. Just like anything, we're refining and what have you. And I think the thing that they like the most is I don't have thousands of students or teammates. It's very small. And then I'm very accessible.
Got it. That's awesome, man. Well, everybody listening, I know they're going to be curious about Land Flipping for real estate professionals. I guess the best way they could go look for that is to go on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Facebook from there.
Yeah, Facebook group would be perfect.
Okay, got it. Cool. Anything else you'd like to add or advice you'd give somebody who's hoping to get their first deal?
The first thing is probably education, and not to push a course, whether you do it on YouTube or podcast or what have you. And I did a lot of that. One thing that a course does, and I suggest people check out all the courses, it accelerates your timeline. So, whether you have a mentor or not, and, check out all the niches. Land has just been a great fit for us, and I've tried most of the other niches. And again, as I said, the cost is pretty low. The sellers are motivated. You don't have to have any employees. You don't have to see it. No appointments to see it. No appointments to sell it. And that bundle was just very appealing.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And I'm sure you'll get some people checking out Land Flipping for real estate professionals.
I appreciate you guys very much. And again, appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.